Medicare is complicated. Medicare can be confusing. Medicare is no fun to study. Will you know what decisions to make when Medicare time arrives for you? My name is Doug Jones, and I wrote a book to help you figure it all out. Medicare for the Lazy Man. It's on sale at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Also, you can download and listen to my podcast, Medicare for the Lazy Man, wherever fine podcasts are given away free of charge. Medicare for the Lazy Man, simplest and easiest guide ever.
Calling all cars, proceed directly to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The podcast that marks its territory when out for a walk. And now, a man who spices up his food with pepper spray. It's Medicare expert, Doug Jones.
Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be able to make your acquaintance again today. This is the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast, and I am, as my Canadian nephew just told you, Doug Jones, your Medicare expert. And I am here enjoying my view of a dark, dingy, cloudy, rainy day in Arizona, something which basically depresses the heck out of my partner in crime, but it's something that it just makes me scratch my head and go, what the heck is going on out there? I used to be in Illinois during the wintertime. It'd be horribly miserable and cold, and I would vacation in a warm place that would be typically sunny, like Florida or, some exotic locale. And when it rained, when it was cloudy and dark and oblique, it was just a point of interest to me as long as the temperature was still warm. Now, today we have a less than warm temperature because we're headed towards winter, and winter does strike Arizona, or at least our part of Arizona. It gets chillier. So it's still warmer than it would be if it looked like this in Illinois. So I'm not as depressed about it as Randy is. But in any event, we are here to talk about Medicare. And it is the kind of conversation that it's wide-ranging. It's a very big subject. It's impossible to tackle all of it in one short podcast episode. And so we pick and choose our subjects. But the whole purpose for being here is to make the listener feel comfortable about the fact that Medicare can be conquered, can be understood. It can be tackled and beaten. It can be squashed into a manageable pellet that one can swallow, and one may then move on with one's life, because Medicare is really complex. It's a government program. The government doesn't do a very good job of helping people understand its own program. So there are people like me that try to do that job on behalf of the government, and by means of my book, Medicare for the Lazy Man, you could learn very simply the main points of Medicare, the unvarnished version, the 30,000-foot picture, and you will also be exposed to the kinds of decisions that you're going to be asked to make and the best choices. Now, some of this is my opinion based on many, many years of experience in the insurance business. What are the best things for people to look for or to do when it comes time to make Medicare decisions? And there are readers of my book. They're not happy with me. They've given me negative reviews because I use my experience to express opinions about what I think people should do and what courses of action are going to make most people the happiest or the least unhappy when they encounter Medicare. So if you would like to also buy my book and learn about Medicare in a real short, painless way, then go to either Barnes and Noble or go to Amazon.com and type in the search window, Medicare for the Lazy Man 2022, and you'll come up with the 2022 edition of my book. And you'll be able to buy either a hardcover edition a paperback edition. You can download an electronic version for your reader if you have a reading device like a Kindle. And if you want to just listen, to lay back, close your eyes, and absorb the knowledge, then you can buy the Audible version of the book, in which somebody else will do all the work of turning the pages for you. So in any event, Medicare for the Lazy Man 2022 is what you're looking for. And I guarantee you that when you finish reading that book, you will have a much clearer understanding of Medicare than the United States government is ever going to give you. And you will then probably be comfortable enough with my opinions to know what I think you should do. And you may even feel so comfortable as to want to contact me and ask me to help you acquire your Medicare insurance coverages, your Medicare supplement, and your drug plan. And of course, I'm going to say yes, because I love having clients like you, whoever you may be. And I will wait by the phone for your call, or more likely your email, and I will be happy to help you acquire the coverages you need to keep you safe, sound, secure, and happy all the way through your Medicare years. Now, in this episode, Randy is going to help me determine the best Medicare drug plan. And I'm going to teach everybody how to select the best Medicare drug plan for them. And I know that Randy's going to be a great help here. I've assigned this homework to him, and he's ready to go. So why don't we welcome him into the studio? Randy Carson, how are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Jones. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, except for the fact that it's raining out there. Why did that have to happen?
Now you have to ruin my whole morning.
I know it affects you more than it affects me, but it is kind of weird. Is it raining at your house, or somehow at times it doesn't rain across the street?
I don't know. I can't tell. I mean, I could go look, but if I see that it's raining, I'm just going to get more depressed.
Now, let's assume that it's sunny and warm outside where you are.
In my house, it's sunny and warm.
Yeah, because that's the weird thing about Arizona. It can rain on your side of the street and be perfectly fine on the other side of the street, and that happens all the time.
Well, I'm fully loaded for bear, Doug. I just thought I'd let you know that since you said we were going to talk about, how to work and find a drug plan, as you know how my mind works, I go to the extremes. If one pair of sneakers is good, 6 is much better.
Yes, I know that.
So in preparation for this show, I looked up the most expensive prescription drugs in the United States. Now, would you like to know what they are?
Well, sure, I would.
Okay, so I'm going to name them off, and then, just put your pencil down, because you will literally fall out of your chair when you find out what the cost of these things are. They're approved FDA drugs, and they're obviously, some people's using them. But anyway, here they are. The first one is called Skysona.
All right. That doesn't sound like something I ever encountered before.
And the second one, and I'll give you the costs. The next one is Zynteglo.
No idea what that is.
And the last one on the list, now keep in mind, these are the top 3 expensive drugs in the United States.
Okay.
Then the last one is Zolgensma.
Oh,
now, Skysona, and I won't bother telling you what they're for or how they're made or anything else, but let me just put your seatbelt on, get your pencil out.
Okay.
And you'll be very glad you don't need to have to use one of these, because Skysona, the number one one on the list, not expense-wise, but the first one I read, the wholesale acquisition cost of Skysona is $3 million.
Okay. All righty. I haven't had any clients that need that drug, or that have at least expressed that need to me.
Now, here's the next one. Zynteglo. The acquisition cost, or actually it's the per cost patient cost, $2.8 million. And the last but not least, and this is the one that holds the world's record for the most expensive single dose drug in the world, and that one's called Zolgensma. And the total cost of a single dose is $2.125 million.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. What I said earlier about Randy being very, very helpful during this episode turns out to have been a complete lie. And I think what he's done is divorced himself from reality. So we're going to forge ahead with our instruction about picking your own best drug plan without Randy's input. But
No, I will point out to you, Doug, that my drugs that I would pick in a drug plan are much more readily available and cheap. Matter of fact, I think most of my drugs are generic, and they come to my front door in the back of an 18-wheeler.
I thought you were going to say in a guy with sunglasses in a briefcase, brings him to the door, hands you the briefcase, and says, ugh, ugh, and then he goes away. Well, when I first brought up this possibility, I said, Randy, think of some drugs that I can, use as examples during the selection of our best Medicare prescription drug plan. It's so easy that everybody can do this if they have a computer. I don't know what it looks like on a telephone. And Randy's first thing was Viagra. And I said,
that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Why not? I'm a guy.
You're not supposed to be thinking that way during our family-oriented podcast about Medicare.
Excuse me.
That's so I didn't think that was real helpful, but we're gonna try that. We're gonna add that to our list of drugs that we come up with. It's just that I do this periodically, and I always pick drugs that are really easy because, frankly, for me, it's easy to get through the demonstration process if I've got a drug that everybody takes and I'm already familiar with what the result is going to be. And so I was hoping to have something more challenging, but not a $2.5 million per dose drug. I don't even know what those things do. Do you know what those things
Well, they are targeted. They're custom-made drugs. I would imagine the process is what's the big deal, but most of them are made from the patient's own stem cells, and they are cooked down, spun out, something in order to address a particular disease that they have that they were born with.
That is now very interesting, and you've redeemed yourself here, Randy, because we've got a client. I have a client that is in need of stem cell harvesting. Mm-hmm. And so there's a whole story about this client that I can tell maybe on the next episode. So try to remind me about that. But I don't want to run out of time today teaching people how to. I'm going to start my clock. Like what time do you have now?
Oh my God! You can go as long as you want, but in reality, you've got 8 minutes left.
Holy moly. Okay, well, I just don't want to bore the audience to death, but this is for people who want to choose their own drug plan. Now, a lot of people ask me to do it, and I'm happy to do it, but I think you can do it better than I can because you know your drugs. And in fact, if you've got a drug plan that doesn't have the same result on the website, on the government website that one would expect, then it's easier for you to diagnose what's wrong with that. In other words, does it have another name attached to it? You've got the container and you've got the phone number of the pharmacist. But let's go through the selection process. This is the way that you can pick the best drug plan for you, and you don't need any dopey insurance agent like me to help you do it. First of all, go to Medicare.gov/plan-compare. Medicare.gov/plan-compare. And then you got another / after that. And what you're going to see is a kind of a whitish screen. It says Medicare.gov, explore your Medicare coverage options. And you're going to see a Hispanic gentleman who seems to be smiling, but he's got a big bushy mustache. It's hard to tell for sure that he's smiling. But the first thing you do is go down to the lower right-hand area of the screen. Make sure that the year 2023 is checked because we're looking for a plan for you to start on January 1st of 2023. And the two things that we're going to do here are select a plan type. So I'm going to click on the drop-down menu thing, the little arrow, and it's got a bunch of choices. Medicare Advantage Plan. Boo, yes. Medicare, oh, that got Randy's attention. He almost got whiplash turning back to the screen. But Medicare Drug Plan, it doesn't say Medicare, it says Drug Plan Part D. That's the choice we want to make. In this list, it is the second choice. So I click Drug Plan Part D and I click Apply down at the box, the bottom of that box. And then I have to put in my zip code. So I'm going to put in my new zip code in Wayne, Illinois, and it is 60184. And I'm going to click Start. Now it doesn't know which county I'm in because that zip code crosses a county line. So I'm in Kane County, but I'm very close to the DuPage County line. I would say I'm about 100 yards away from the DuPage County line in my new house, but I'm clicking Kane County because that's where my residence is. Now I'm going to click Start, and then I'm going to be asked whether I get help with the costs of my drug plan. And the costs, the listed versions of help are Medicaid, Supplemental Security Income, Medicare Savings Program, a thing called Extra Help, an answer called I'm Not Sure, for those of us who are confused, and the answer that we should pick to keep things simple and clean. The answer that we want to pick is I don't get help from any of these programs, and that's what I've clicked. And then the next box, it's a green box. It says next. I clicked on that and it says, do you want to see your drug costs when you compare plans? Why, yes, I do. And I've clicked yes. And now I'm clicking next. And now a box opens up where I can pick the drugs that I take and that I plan to take next year. These are prescription drugs that I take on a regular basis. They're not amoxicillin or, temporary prescriptions for temporary needs. These are regular prescriptions that I take all year long. So Randy mentioned one drug that we can give it a try. I've never tried this before. Let's see. Viagra, A-G-R-A. And as I type it into the box, the word appears down below the box, and then I click on Add Drug. And it says a generic is available called sildenafil. So would you like to add the generic instead? Sure, what the heck? I'll do that. So it defaults now to a dosage of 100 milligrams. It says 100 milligram tablets. And it defaults to a quantity of 6 every month. That's not enough for me, but let's see what other dosages are available. So it's got... when you click on the dosage box, it has defaulted to a 100 milligram tablet, but some other choices open up when you click on that box. And there's a 50 milligram, a 25 milligram, a 20 milligram, and then a 10 milligram / milliliter suspension reconstituted. Now, only you would know whether that's what you have or not. And so I would say that this is one of the examples in which it's more efficient for the person taking the drugs to use this step-by-step process rather than somebody who doesn't even know anything about it. So let's go with their suggested quantity of 6 every month, add to my drug list. And let's see. I had trouble with a client of mine who took gabapentin. And let's say that that's our next drug. So I'm going to add another drug. And I'm going to type in GABA, A-B-A-P-E-N-T-I-N, and the word has appeared below the box. I've clicked on the word, and it is now ready for me to add that drug. Now, it has defaulted to a dosage of a 300 milligram capsule. When I click on the dosage box, because maybe my client doesn't take that dosage, then I see a whole world of other doses opening up. In this case, we can go with, instead of the 300 milligram, we can go with many other strengths up to 800 milligram tablets. We can go up to 400 milligrams in capsules. We can use 250 or 300 milligram in solution. And so I'm just going to go with their their defaulted 300 milligram capsule. They defaulted to a dosage of 270 tablets or capsules every month. I don't know if that's accurate or not for people that use that drug, but I'm going to say add to my drug list. So now I've got 2 drugs, gabapentin and Viagra, only the generic substitute, which is sildenafil. And the old standby that I always use when I'm demonstrating this process to people is atorvastatin, because a lot of people take statin drugs. Atorvastatin. And I click the word down below the box. But the choices are numerous for atorvastatin. And if I didn't know any better, or if I was given skimpy information by my client, I might get confused. There's simvastatin, there's fluvastatin, there's lovastatin, there's amlodipine / atorvastatin, and then there's regular atorvastatin. So if somebody said I take atorvastatin, but they really took amlodipine / atorvastatin, that would be imperative to know. But if you don't tell me, I wouldn't know it. You would recognize that immediately if you were exercising this process. So I'm going to click on add drug. And now we've got 3 drugs in our list of drugs. And we're going to say, we haven't picked a dosage. So it defaults to 40 milligram tablets, 30 every month. And that sounds good to me. So now we have 3 drugs. And I'm going to say we're done adding drugs. It should say we're finished adding drugs, but leave it to the federal government to have a bunch of illiterates, and they use incorrect English. So they should say we're finished adding drugs. So now the next step is very important, but a lot of people don't give it enough credit. The name of the pharmacy. Where would you like to get these drugs, these prescriptions filled? Well, one thing I always use is the mail order. And I let the drug plan decide the mail order process, the mail order company that they're contracted with. So I will click on mail order pharmacy and make sure that that is one of my choices. But we also have, not far from Shea Jones, we have let's say a Walgreens, Walgreens. And when I click on the box, it says find pharmacy. I go down to the list and I see, here's one at 2571 East Main Street in St. Charles. So let's click on that one. And then how about let's say a CVS. So I'm going to delete the word Walgreens and add CVS, because the spousal unit doesn't mind going to CVS if Walgreens is not a convenient choice for her. And there's a CVS on East Main Street in St. Charles. So now I'm going to say we're done. We've got the mail order and we've got 2 major chain drugstores. Used to have a couple of homegrown drugstores that everybody that I knew liked to patronize, but we don't have them anymore. They've fallen victim to the age of their owners and the fact that chains are taking over the world. All right, so we've picked our location. We've picked our drug plan. We've picked the fact that we don't have any help with the payment of the premium for the drug plan. And we've picked our drugs that we take on a regular basis. And now we have picked our pharmacies. So that means we're ready for the cheapest drug plan in America, in Kane County, Illinois, with those drugs, with those drugstores. The cheapest drug plan is an ARP plan. Now, I'm not a big fan of ARP because they have a different political philosophy than I do, but we have 3 of the least expensive plans out of the 24 plans available in Kane County. And so I think what we're going to do here is we're going to say, let's compare these. We've got 24 drug plans. Let's compare the 3 cheapest to see what the comparison looks like. And the second cheapest drug plan is SilverScript Plus. That's an Aetna plan, comes from a fine company. And the third cheapest drug plan is Humana Premier RX. And so I'm going to choose that one. So we now have 3 drug plans, and in the lower right-hand corner, I'm going to click the box that says compare. And now we have all three of the cheapest plans for me side by side. And it shows their monthly premium, which in this case is pretty high. And I have an idea that Randy's selection of his favorite drug is responsible for that. These are not the super duper cheapest plans for people that don't take any drugs but still want to stave off that lifetime late enrollment penalty. That's going to be in the neighborhood of $6 or $7 a month. But we've got three drug plans that will handle those prescription drugs in a very benign manner. So the first plan is ARP, and it's if we get all of our prescriptions filled at ARP and we buy, or excuse me, at Walgreens, and we have the ARP plan, our total expenditure for the year is going to be $718. If we go to CVS for all of our prescriptions during the course of the year, it's going to be $829. And if we do what I like to do, and that is get everything mail order, so I don't even have to leave the house, then it's going to cost me a total of $803.92 for the year for those three prescriptions. That's assuming the prescriptions stay the same and the plan benefits stay the same all year long. And most of the drug plans do. So that tells me what the very cheapest drug plan would cost. But let's say that I've got a philosophical difference with ARP and I'm not real happy doing business with ARP. Well, let me go to the next cheapest plan. Out of 24 drug plans, SilverScript Plus is my next cheapest alternative. The premium for that plan is a little bit higher. It's a lot higher, actually. The ARP plan was $24.30. The SilverScript Plus plan is $78.50. But paying the premium plus the drug copays, my total out-of-pocket expense for Walgreens, if I get all my prescriptions filled at Walgreens and I have the SilverScript Plus, then it's going to cost me $1,230 for all of next year. That's higher than I want. So let's suppose that I have all my prescriptions filled at CVS. That cost is projected to be $942. That's for the premium plus the copays charged by the for each of the drugs. And if I do mail order, it's the same price, $942 for the year. So it looks to me like I'm better off with the ARP plan at $803 for the year for mail order, $942 for mail order for the SilverScript Plus, and our third contender for the cheapest drug plan is Humana, and that's $927 for the year for the mail order. The Humana plan charges higher drug copay, so it's like $1,141 or $1,152 if I get all the prescriptions filled at one of the two drugstores. But the mail order is only $927. So I think I'm going to go with the SilverScript Plus, with the Humana Premier, which is third overall in the overall cost, but for mail order purchases alone, it's the second most inexpensive plan. And so having these three cheapest plans lined up side by side allows me to see that the number 3 plan is really number 2 when it comes to the cost of the mail order prescription filling. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, you have really finished, except you need to get your hands on one of these plans. And the way to do that is to get me on the phone, just like the phone just rang when it wasn't supposed to. I have a method for taking care of that, and it failed me today. So if you decide you want to get the SilverScript Plus, let's say, or no, the Humana, we're picking the Humana here. What you want to do is you want to tell me, Doug, I would like to buy the Humana Premier RX plan. And then I will tell you, all right, I'm going to send you the signature pages. I'm going to send you a questionnaire that asks all kinds of nosy questions about you. And then I will submit the completed application to the insurance company, and you shall have your Humana plan. Now, let's suppose that you don't have a Doug Jones to talk to. Well, there's a little box here that says plan details. You can click on that plan, and it gives you a telephone number. Actually, it gives you 2 numbers. One plan or one telephone number is for members, And then the other is listed as non-members. And since you don't have the Humana plan yet, you would be a non-member, and you could call the non-member number, and theoretically they would enroll you over the telephone. Now, they then would keep the commission. There's about like a $12 commission on this thing. I don't know what it is really. It changes every year what the government allows these insurance companies to charge. I don't know why the government gets involved in their commission, but there is a commission, and it's kind of a tip of the hat and a thank you to me for taking the time to help you enroll in the plan. So I'd rather you'd say to me, Doug, it seems like the plan that works best for me is so-and-so. Can you help me get it? Now, I'm not certified with every one of the drug companies' plans, but I am certified with many of the least expensive. In this case, I'm certified with the Humana plan and the SilverScript plan. So 2 out of 3 in the cheapest plans for the choice of drugs and drugstores that we have. So I would be delighted to enroll you in that plan of your choice if I can. Otherwise, I would direct you to the telephone number that is the one that for non-members that would allow you to self-enroll. And that's about it. It's really a simple process. And if you're able to do this, sitting down at your computer and you go to medicare.gov/plan-compare, I believe you'll be able to pick out your own best, least expensive prescription drug plan. And you will have saved a lot of aggravation, and you'll have confidence in your choice. And then, of course, you can do the same thing next year, because sometimes the plans change and sometimes your prescriptions are going to change. So I would suggest doing this once a year if you take prescription medication. So, Randy, it appears that the cost of Viagra is driving everything up here. It's more expensive.
You haven't heard what I found.
What's that?
I was following along with you.
I'm glad to hear that.
But I went away. I went through the whole thing saying, no. I want the real deal on Viagra.
Yep.
Here is what I found.
What'd you find?
On the SilverScript Smart Saver, a mail order.
That's going to be the cheapest drug plan. If you don't take any drugs at all, SilverScript Smart Saver is the least expensive plan almost everywhere in the country next year.
Exception for Viagra.
Oh boy. Oops.
The total monthly on that particular plan, now I'll do some teasing about the Viagra, but the total monthly cost for that particular plan is $5.40, which I think is pretty straightforward, cheap.
Yeah,
however,
pretty cheap.
They won't touch Viagra in its pure sense. You have to go with a generic. But if you wanted Viagra, that plan would cost you $4,187.36.
Ooh, doggies. Now, what drugstore did you pick?
I have no idea. I just said, give me a mail order drugstore for this zip code.
Well, that's their mail order, and that should be a very reasonable price. Obviously, it's not in this case, but that really cheap plan, the SilverScript Smart Saver.
Yeah,
I know that last year when it was called SilverScript Smart RX, it had no sweetheart deal with Walgreens. So if you said, I want to go nowhere but Walgreens to fill my prescriptions, it would cost you like $10,000 just to walk in the door. It was incredibly expensive because that didn't have any discounts at Walgreens. If you said CVS, it would be like $200 for the year. Mm-hmm. And so the choice of drugstore where you want to do business is very important. And you can select up to 5 for your comparison. And some people, I've got some clients that do this themselves, and they'll select 5 drugstores, and then they'll go back and erase all of those and put another 5 drugstores in. And they'll have a chart of incredible proportions at the end of their session because they like crunching numbers.
Well, the reason I really did this for 2 reasons. I had never personally done it recently. So I wanted to see what people would see when they did this. And then, so I went through and I did it. So I just wanted to share with you guys, one of the things Doug and I talk about quite a bit is that some folks are very, very fearful of doing this. I'm just telling you, folks, don't be fearful. Go ahead and do it. There's really nothing you can do to screw the world up. back up, go forward, back up, erase it, start again, and nothing is going to happen. The world is not going to stop. Your PC will not melt. So give it a shot.
And then if you give me your criteria, I'll give it a try and make sure that I can confirm your results to make sure your results were accurate. I'm happy to do that. And then you'll gain confidence, and pretty soon you'll be making the thing sing and dance on your own. What if I switch from this drug to that drug? My doctor thinks that maybe I should take this. How would that affect my cost every year? So it can be, if you like doing drugs and you like crunching numbers, this can be a fun way to kill an afternoon. But on the other hand, it is a good method to know how your the financial impact of your drug regimen is going to be, and for the following year. So that's why I recommend that people do this.
I loved it. I really got a kick out of it because it really made me feel like I was in control of the world and in control of my own destiny. So give it a shot. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me, I get you. But so we have really kind of burned up our time.
We have.
We need to sign off. We need to thank the people for joining us because they could have been 153 different places, but they weren't. They were with us. And I think if I was keeping track accurately, you just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the insurance guy from Oklahoma, no more. He's living up in the high altitude ground behind Cave Creek, Arizona, scouting out the world, I believe, from his deck in his fortress of solitude.
Would we like to ask them to rate and review our podcast?
Yes, please do. Go rate and review it. I always forget that part.
Not a problem.
We would love to have you rate and review it because it means a lot to us. And, we're all fighting algorithms. So, give us a couple thumbs ups. We would certainly appreciate it. And I don't know, did we talk about the book and such? If not, let's do it again.
I did at the beginning, but it seems like it's been hours since then.
Well, it was before lunch, wasn't it? Okay. So,
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, grab your pencil. Won't hurt to do this again. Write Doug at dbj@mlmmailbag.com. Go to the website, medicareforthelazyman.com. Got a lot of good stuff to see there, a lot of good reference material. Or start preparing for the holidays. Go to amazon.com, get yourself a couple, 3, maybe 4, half a dozen copies of Doug's paperback, the 2022 version with the green numbers, or get an audio or get a Kindle or the electronic version. But don't forget to give us 5 stars because it makes our life a lot easier. So I appreciate it, and I know you'll help us out.
Bye-bye, everyone.